nation of Israel, modern day so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native American Indians, and speckled Israelites, being Israelite foreigners scattered across the four corners of the earth, including within America, Babylon the Great, the main place for our captivity. And we are the Most High Yahweh's chosen people of the nation of Israel. So without further ado, as always, in the Lashon Kodash, being the holy tongue, which is a Paleo-Hebrew, being the ancient Hebrew, let me give all praises, glory, infinite honor to my power, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, whom is the God of the living, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Baruch Kodash, which is our praise to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, in the name of his only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai, and Holy Spirit, whom is our strength and our Redeemer, and our light and our salvation. And in the same tongue, I'm a Mashana, Kabawadium, Lahasaquanium, Shal Gadwawakab, meaning double honors to the apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone, and Shalom honors salutations to Bayashad Abadah, meaning the house of David, of the elected governing body of the 1/3 elected remnant of the nation of Israel, along with the rest of the 1/3 elected men, women, and children of Israel. And this fellow servant Malak Rayab back at again with another lesson through the spirit of prophecy, being a testimony of our Lord and Savior, Hamashiach Habashai, who the masters of the world ignorantly refers to Jesus Christ. And just lesson topic, of fleeing youthful lust. Within this prime example, this millionaire, former NFL athlete on the screen, Shannon Sharp, who's been recently caught up in a scandal with a young online harlot for hire, which I'm gonna get into at some point in this lesson. That's most likely going to take everything from him. That's essentially already taken everything from him. Okay, in terms of tarnishing his legacy by putting a stain on his name. When it says in the book of Ecclesiastes, I believe it's in the 7th chapter, it says a good name is more precious than the finest ointment, roughly paraphrasing. All right. But at some point I'm going to get that precept. But, this situation is just another prime example on fleeing youthful lust, all right, in which lust itself is not wicked. It's what we can lust after that can lead into wickedness, including women, because women are wicked by nature. Okay, like it says in 1 Ezra 4:37. Okay, wine is wicked, and women are wicked. Okay, which is why they're the weaker vessel. So it's not expedient as unprofitable to lust after women, especially younger women who are, collectively or just generally undeveloped, more so than an older woman, mentally. All right, which is why she tends to make a lot of foolish, childish decisions. Why? Because the woman is a child, man. Okay, women are children with breasts on their chest, man. Okay, and they're to be, they're to be handled accordingly. But in order to handle them accordingly, we have to be men. By mortifying our members, controlling our flesh, by equipping ourselves with this, the whole armor of the Lord, which is the word, to not succumb to these temptations of this world that can ruin us, because it's been an ongoing struggle for men in general, mainly Israelite men, through the women. In the case of Samson, okay, our Malak, our king, Malak Dawadah, King David, okay, sinning a great sin by lusting after that woman, leading Uriah the Hittite to be put to death so he could take his woman, and there's countless examples, man. Okay, but this Shannon Sharp scandal is just another prime example on why we should flee youthful lust. And it's not easy, what I'm saying? It's easier said than done in a sex-crazed world, okay? In a modern-day effeminate Semiramis, Queen of Heaven, era that we live in, which that satanic vibration is higher than ever before because of the hearts of evil men, okay, that are promoting this wicked way of living, all right, through perverseness and normalizing it through sensationalism, okay, are waxing worse and worse. And so these women, because they're the joint heirs to Esau Edom's rulership, Esau Edom being a self-proclaimed white man, the devil the Bible speaks of, the man of sin and son of perdition, that a lot of these men, these successful men, bow down before. especially in Hollywood, because this guy Shannon Sharpe, just another Freemasonic boule sellout, and he bit off more than he can chew. Okay, envying, his oppressor, and by looking to emulate his lifestyle, by continuing to be reckless even at the age of 56 years old, man. And it led to his downfall, because even if he beats his case, he's not going to beat it. If that makes sense, because his name is already tarnished by way of the scandal. I'm going to bring this information out. It's on the Sun. It's on Sun.com. Says off-air Shannon Sharpe steps down from First Take after $50 million grape lawsuit as calls for ESPN analysts to be fired mount. All right. It says First Take star Shannon Sharpe has stepped away from ESPN after being accused of manipulating, beating, and SAing, graping a woman when she was just 20 years old. All right. All right, Salaki, I'm out and about, so anyway, I may have to, anyway, but it says Sharpe insists he's innocent and says he will be devoting time to family as he launches an all-out war against the shocking claims made by an ex-lover. So they just acknowledged that he had intimate relationship with this female, okay, and it wasn't just some random individual that he met, okay, as opposed to him dealing with her for 2 years now. So obviously, they were in a so-called relationship. But yet Esau would use sensationalism through the female's age, her being only 19 and supposedly being a baby, when she was clearly a consensual adult to be with him for 2 years. It wasn't like, she was held beyond her will, but Esau would spin it that way. But either way, Shannon Sharpe, was still foolish. Okay, for not, handling the situation accordingly in terms of acknowledging who he was dealing with, which is a young harlot for hire. Okay, so it says, in a statement posted on Instagram, Sharpe said the relationship in question was 100% consensual before announcing his departure. He said, at this juncture, I'm electing to step aside temporarily from my ESPN duties. He said, and that's just a politically correct way of saying that, he's basically on leave while, the owners of ESPN through Disney, okay, investigates the situation as Stephen Attaboy Smith, okay, his former or his fellow Freemasonic boule sellout partner, has spoke about on his podcast how Disney's taking this situation very seriously, because Disney is owned by degenerates. That's why it's not a coincidence that Disney was started by a PDF file devil, Walt Disney. So that just further shows who, Shannon Sharpe was working for. So it says, he said, I will be devoting this time to my family and responding and dealing with these false and disruptive allegations set against me. I plan to return to ESPN at the start of the NFL preseason. All right, so that's pretty much it. So it said Sharpe's announcement came after an anonymous woman claimed that her nearly 2-year relationship with a former NFL star, ended in 2 horrific rapes. She said the two met at a LA gym in January 2023 and had a consensual relationship before Sharpe started manipulating and controlling her. So this case, there's no logic on her end in terms of, the allegations against him. But she understands that pussy is power. Part of my fridge. And that because Esau has weaponized sex through the reprobate minds of women. That lines with prophecy in Jeremiah 31:22. How a woman would compass a man, that was considered to be a new thing. So women understand, even these young dildo-headed women understands their power in terms of their word against a man's word. So she's going to win this. She's already won it. Okay. So it says In October 2024, Sharp, age 56, allegedly violently raped, and you see what it says there. The woman, as she desperately cried for him to stop, and she desperately cried for him to stop. Court documents seen by the U.S. Sun State. So that's pretty much it on that. On this article. I'm gonna play a video before I do. I'm gonna bring out a little bit of information on this similar article on the Tribune.com website. It says Shannon Sharp responds after ex-girlfriend Gabriela Zuniga sues him for $50 million over SA allegations. So it further confirms that that was his woman. It wasn't just some random bimbo that he was just popping that he met at the gym. He knew the bitch, man. But anyway, I'm going to continue. It says, let me see. Zuniga's complaint states that she met Sharp at a gym in 2023 when she was 19. Why did Esau throw that in there? For sensationalism, to make people think that she was a baby. According to Esau's wine of fornication, which is Western philosophy, people under the impression that she's a baby. No, she was a consensual adult, man. Okay. Last time I checked, according to Esau, 18 is legal, and by biblical standards, she's been a woman for years. All right, because a female becomes a woman when she reaches the flower of her age, which is her menstrual. So she obviously was a woman. Okay, so they're using that in favor of the harlot to win this case through sensationalism, by mentioning her age in comparison with him being 56. Okay, but it says she describes the relationship as initially consensual. You see that? But later characterized by coercion and violence. Okay, it says the lawsuit includes that's pretty much it. Sharp's legal team has issued a strong denial in a statement posted to social media. Attorney Lanny J. Davis called the case a blatant and cynical attempt to shake down Mr. Sharp for millions of dollars. The statement argues that the claims are false and part of a deliberate strategy to damage Sharp's reputation and secure financial gain, and that's obviously the case. But yet these wealthy idiots, okay, these wealthy reprobate idiot males, can't even call them men, in America, Babylon Great specifically, fall within the snare of being, dally with these silly laden harlots, man. Especially those who are young. And instead of just dealing with them accordingly, because they're all these women collectively in this modern day world are for recreational purposes only. Meaning what? They're not marriage material, especially the same female or female, in this situation. Which let me go ahead and get this demon on the screen here. So let me pull over. There's an ambulance by me. Gotta pull over. But this is the female associated with this case. Now you can clearly see, the provocative photos and so forth. Clearly this ain't no this is not wife material. And when we click on this link there, that little blue link toward the top left hand corner, it leads to a damn OnlyFans link, man. So there's no meaning further confirming that she is an online harlot for hire. There's no way that Shannon Sharp didn't know about that. So he brought this on himself, man. Okay. So this is a further prime example on why not to get caught up in youthful lust, man. And once again, man, speaking as a man, it's not easy. Okay, that's far from easy in the sex crazed world. Okay, you know what I'm saying? And in conjunction with being a man full of testosterone, for one who, works out and minds his diet for the most part. Okay, in terms of men that pertains to. Okay, it's not easy to mortify your members in that regard, man. But if you don't, you'll wind up like this guy. You see? So, you can wind up like this guy. So, all right. And all right, Shalom. Brother, y'all, what's up? Whoever else may be tuning in, y'all, by Shimmy Shabbat Thumb. All right. The brother put up Proverbs 19:5. A false witness shall not be unpunished, and he that speaketh lies shall not escape. Exactly. Verse 20, Ecclesiastes 7:26 is actually one of the precepts that I was going to bring out through the Spirit. All right. And it says, and I find more bitter than death the woman, whose heart is snares and nets. I mean, the heart is in the mind. Okay. You know, it says, in her hands is bands, whoso pleaseth the Most High God, Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai, shall escape from her, but the sinner shall be taken by her. So obviously, Shannon Sharp was a sinner, meaning what? He lived a life of sin. Sin was his standard of living, which is a standard of living in America, a false way of living, because he's a sellout. Okay? Now, he's another minstrel show, boule, Freemasonic sellout character that played, that indulged in these stereotypes for Amalek's favor. Okay? The chief family of the Edomites that he knee scrapes for. And now he got what he got his reward, man. Okay? So this is 2 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 22. It says, flee also youthful lusts, but follow righteousness, faith, charity, peace with them that call on the Lord. Yahweh by Shemeshah, out of a pure heart is in a pure mind. You can only have a pure mind by giving your, directing your mind, your focus to the word. Okay, through sacrificing your own carnal desires. Okay, that are not expedient, for salvation, man. And salvation is only for Israel, so-called Negro, Latino, Native American Indians, Israelite foreigners of that same bloodline, the lost 2 tribes of Israel. But who are fighting to make the calling election sure. For those who fear the Lord, Yahweh by Shemeshai. Those who fear the Lord, Yahweh by Shemeshai, will consider wisdom. Okay, which will lead one to move a certain way, to with more precaution, man. They're not living recklessly. Okay, because we're living in a different age. In the case of women, we're living in a different age where in this technological age. You there's all, you never know who's recording, man. You never know. Esau has all kinds of censorship, nanotechnology through the social media. All right. Surveillance technology and the phone that I'm using to do this live right now, through the laptops and that movie Snowden, based off of Eric Snowden. Okay, the former NSA agent, Fred exposed that. How Esau has surveillance technology in the laptops, the other PC types. Okay, the gaming consoles and so forth. So having all this been said, we're under more scrutiny, which means what? Less room for error, especially in association with dealing with a woman, man. Because women are always looking for a come up. They're opportunists, especially in this Western world. So if you're gonna deal with them, man, just know who you're dealing with. 2 Timothy 2 and 22 says, flee also youthful lusts, but follow righteousness, faith, charity, peace. There's no peace with dealing with these women in this modern day age, because case in point, regarding the true nature that the Heavenly Father intended for the woman when He created her, okay, through Yahushai, was to be a pillar of rest for her one husband, and to and his children. Obviously, as prophesied in Romans, the 1st chapter. Okay, these women have been far removed from their natural estate, to where they're no longer women, in which the word woman, the etymology of the word woman literally means female servant. They're far from that, man, collectively. To where they transition to beasts, untamable beasts. That's why it was reported that he offered, Shannon Sharp offered her $10 million and she turned it down. Because she knew she's a shark that smells blood in the water. She's a brute beast, and she knows she can get a hell of a lot more from this damn simpleton. Okay, who couldn't mortify his members. Meaning what? Control his flesh. Okay. So it says, flee also youthful lust, but follow righteousness, faith, charity, peace with them that call on the Lord, Yahweh by Shem Yahushai, out of a pure heart. And his heart is in his mind was not pure with the Lord. That's why the Lord gave him over to a reprobate mind and gave him over to a wicked woman. As it says in the book of Sirach, how a wicked man is given to a portion, a wicked woman rather is given to a portion to a wicked man, roughly paraphrasing. Okay, let me get that real quick. That lines up with the precept a brother put on the comment board in Ecclesiastes 7:26, but I'm going to get this here. right? Sirach 25:19 says, all wickedness is but little to the wickedness of a woman. Let the portion of a sinner fall upon her. And that's not it. That's not it. Salakia. Salakia, give me 1 second. There it is, Salakia. Sirach 26:23. A wicked woman is given as a portion to a wicked man, but a godly woman is given to him that feareth the Lord. Yahweh by Shemeshai. Because a man that fears the Lord, is one whose mind is perfect with the Lord. Yahweh by Shemeshai. And that's ultimately why the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, forgave King David for that wickedness that he committed. Committing 2 sins. Lining up Uriah the Hittite to be murdered so he can commit adultery with his wife. Okay? In which he conspired, through him conspiring to do that, okay, was not to be perceived as adultery with Uriah the Hittite being murdered. Okay? Because obviously adultery is, a man sleeping with another man's woman, but King David was slick and had him put to death so that it wouldn't technically be considered as adultery. But the Lord Yahweh by Shemeshai is, his eyes, the eyes of the Lord Yahweh by Shemeshai 10,000 times brighter than the sun. So he ended up punishing King David for that. But he forgave him ultimately because why? King David's heart was still pure with the Lord because he feared him. He believed in him. You see, that doesn't mean that, we should do what King David did and tempt the Lord. But it's just a prime example that, on how a pure heart towards the Lord Yahweh by Shemeshai, it can can drive away sins, man. All right. Even though once again, it's not a wise thing to tempt the Lord like King David did, which is another example, is another lesson in itself. You know what I'm saying? But that's just another prime example of one's hearts being perfect with the Lord in the midst of sin. It's further confirming that this flesh is a sinful nature, man. So this is, speaking of which, let me go and grab this real quick. First Esdras, Salakia. First Esdras 4:37. It says, wine is wicked. The king is wicked. Women are wicked. All the children of men are wicked. Meaning, we're all wicked in this flesh. And it included women. It says, and such are all their wicked works, and there is no truth in them. Okay? And their unrighteousness, also they shall perish. And women are the epitome of that, man, because women are the weaker vessel. And and what further confirms that is they're emotionally based as opposed to being logically based. So a lot of their decisions are predicated off of their feelings, which is dangerous. Because like a woman changes like the phases of a moon, which is dangerous. Which is why she's not fit to be a ruler. But yet you have these weak-minded, effeminate beta males, okay, that are under that Semiramis spirit, the queen of heaven, worshiping the woman. Okay, especially a lot of these hotep niggas in that culture. Okay, and certain men of the circumcision, of this ministry. All right. So I'm planning on doing a lesson about that, a little later on. I don't write this out. Okay. Case in point, any man in the circumcision that knows he's an Israelite that is pro-woman is an idolater, specifically a Semiramis worshiper. And there's a lot of them. Okay. Under that enchantment of Semiramis, the queen of heaven. Such as Shannon Sharp. And he ended up paying for that, man. He's already lost everything. Even if he doesn't lose his money, all of his money, his name is more important than his money because he carries more weight. Like Scarface said, in that movie Scarface said, all I have in this world is my balls and my word, and I won't break it for no one. You see, your name is your brand. And my man Marlo from The Wire said, my name is my name. That's all we have, man. You gonna let some cheap harlot take that shit away from you, man? That's foolish. But see, and we've all, as men, we've all done some simp shit. I can speak for myself. I've done some simp shit in the world, man. But call Allah like Yahweh by Shem Shah, that it wasn't to my detriment. So this is why this is a prime example of fleeing from youthful lust. Cause this dude's 56 years old, dealing with some 20-year-old young dildo-headed online harlot for hire. And when you hear I'm about to play a video in a second, man. But in that video, I'm not gonna play the audio. But in that video where the audio is played, if that's actually her voice, she sounds like a damn dildo head, man. Meaning what? I was meditating on that on the way over here. I'm actually outside of a supermarket right now, but I was meditating on that on the way over here. That there's really no substance with dealing with a younger woman, man. Okay, in a Western mindset, because there's nothing fruitful that's gonna come out of those conversations. Okay, because she's inexperienced. Okay, she's childish, mentally and spiritually. She's entitled. She's narcissistic. She's proud. Like this bitch. You can clearly see it on her face, man. And you would think, case in point, you would think that she would have took this shit down, this page. But why would she do that? Because she knew that she can come up off the situation. And they said that she gained thousands upon thousands new followers, of course. That was the object. That was the objective. So this is I'm going to continue. The book of Proverbs, chapter 6, in verse 24. It reads, to keep thee, Salakia. I'll go and start at verse 23. It says, for the commandment is a lamp and the law is light, and reproofs of instruction the way of life, to keep thee from the evil woman, from the flattery of the tongue of a strange woman. Now this is really talking about, in the context, really talking about philosophies, because a false philosophy, a vain and false philosophy could be likened to a wicked woman. All right, but in the natural sense, you can also apply it to a natural woman. Because once again, pursuing the first Ezra 4:37, women are naturally wicked. Okay, where she can, she could bat her eyes. She could do something as simple as bat her eyes and swing her hips, and that'll cause a man to lose his goddamn mind. Case in point. So this is Salakia, Proverbs 6 and 24. 24. To keep thee from the evil woman, from the flattery of the tongue of a strange woman. Here's the point of verse 25. Lust not after her beauty in thine heart, neither let her take thee with her eyelids. In modern day age, her cumbrellas. See, that's all it takes for a man to lose his life. I mean, ultimately lose his life, but lose his mind. Over being enticed, by the nature of woman. I'm looking at one right now. Just came to the supermarket, all kinds of fake up on. She's attractive, young, attractive female. Anywhere from 18 to 23. All she got to do is put on a skimpy, scantily promiscuous outfit. Put on some cumbrellas, and that'll be enough for a lot of these men to lose their minds. Okay, because a lot, the majority of these males, have not been given the mind and fear of the Lord Yahweh by Shem Shai. Okay, to be careful from the temptations of this world that can bring forth one's detriment. I'm looking at another harlot. You can't make this shit up. Another harlot just parked next to me. Either came from the gym or going to the gym. Same goddamn outfit, same type of outfit I just described, man. A few seconds ago. Back all the way out. Super tight outfit. A lot of men will simp over that shit. Just because she's showing some flesh. See? So this is a prime example of fleeing youthful lust. Because once again, lust is not a bad thing in itself. You could lust after a cheesecake, but it's what we lust after that can lead to sin and ultimately death. Why? Because the wages of sin is death. Okay? And being that women are sinful by nature, this is their standard of living collectively. The majority of these women are wicked. Okay? Well, all women are wicked. The only women that are going to be saved from the Lord's plagues are the Akwath, the elect lady. But for the most part, the majority of these females are going to drop dead, man. Just because these women are a major snare. Okay? That doesn't mean don't deal with a woman, but if you deal with her, just understand who you're dealing with. Okay? And for the sisters that are trying, hey, if you have the elect, you're gonna make it, man. That's prophesied. But for the majority of these so-called women that are not women, that are not tapping into their true nature as nurturers, okay, to their one husband as a pillar of rest and an incubator for his children, are going to be put to death. Another woman running up right now, the demon in her is looking at me through the damn rear view, man. Older woman too, look around 40. Okay, tight ass jeans on. I digress. Proverbs 6:25 says, "Lust not after her beauty in thine heart, neither let her take thee with her eyelids." That's another example of youthful lust. Verse 26, here's a point. It says, for by means of a whorish woman, a man is brought to a piece of bread. For by means of a whorish woman, a man is brought to a piece of bread. And the adulteress will hunt for the precious life. And this is a prime example of that. Right here. The one that is demanding at least $50 million from Shannon Sharp. Clearly a huntress, if you will. That is the majority of these women, especially in the West. So this is so Shannon Sharp has been reduced to a piece of bread, okay, by this whore. This is Sirach chapter 18 and verse 30. And it says, "Go not after thy lusts, but refrain thyself from thine appetites." And that's not easy to do, man, especially as a man full of testosterone, okay, full of ego. It's not easy to do. It's not easy to say no to yourself. I speak as a man. I go through that shit every day, man. It's not easy, but we have the victory through Hamashiach Yahushua, because he didn't deal with no woman when he was on the scene. The most powerful man to ever walk on this earth didn't deal with not one woman. Neither did Apostle Paul. Man. And the women back then were a hell of a lot more attractive because they were less contaminated with the philosophies of this world. Okay? Because wickedness has intensified. It says in 2 Timothy 3:13, the hearts of evil men have waxed worse and worse. Roughly paraphrasing, which is really the rulers of the darkness of this world in a modern day sense. Amalek. Okay? And the rest of these Edomites that run the world. In a prestigious position of authority. All right? Through the central banks, through the entertainment, through the pornography industry, including OnlyFans. Okay? Ran by a damn condom hat Amalekite. Okay? So this is why we count everything but dung to win Yahushua, as it says in Philippians, the 3rd chapter. Philippians 3:8. Because the only reason why we exist is to serve the Lord in the spiritual warfare, to fight for righteousness, man. Women don't care about righteousness collectively. Because they're naturally carnal-minded creatures. Like my man from Baby Boy said. They said, I ain't gonna call you the B word, I'm gonna call you unstable creatures. Sirach 18:30 says, "Go not after thy lust, but refrain thyself from thine appetites. If thou givest thy soul the desires that please her, she will make thee a laughing stock to thine enemies that malign thee." All right, including these demons that we can't see around us in the spiritual warfare, looking to tempt us to do wickedly so they can mock us. Like the spiritual demon Shaitan himself. When he had a conversation with Heavenly Father, the little friendly wager over Job possibly succumbing to the effects of temptations, okay, including the temptations of being afflicted in the flesh. The spiritual demon Shaitan was confident that Job would bend his will and forsake the Lord Yahweh by Shem Yahshua, but he didn't, and the Heavenly Father Yahweh knew that. She said, no, go ahead. Go and tempt my faithful servant Job. You're not going to win this wager. I'll tell you that right now. But go ahead and tempt him. That's a prime example of Shaitan and these demons swarming around us laughing like, yeah, I bet, for example, I can ensnare him through this right here. Let's send him a big, let's send him a voluptuous woman, a friendly, voluptuous woman, and see what happens. I'm seeing a young woman walk out right now, man, with this damn simp. Man, you can't make this shit up, man. This damn simp-ass Northern Kingdom guy just walked out of the damn supermarket with a young harlot, which is his woman, okay? She was holding on to his arm, so that's obviously his woman. Looking like a damn harlot, man. Nose ring, cleavage all out. So it's not, see, that's a prime example of fleeing youthful lust. Of not being a man, okay? And in terms of what constitutes a man, fighting for righteousness' sake, okay? And abiding by righteous principles as is written. So in terms of dealing with women, being the nature of woman is to serve you and bear your children, to sustain your legacy. If she dressing like a harlot, you got to put her in her place. A lot of these males are not men because they don't do that, because it's Western society, man. That's why a lot of men fall hook, line, and sinker within a snare known as the woman, mainly in the West. Okay, that's another prime example of that. Why? Because they're under that Semiramis spirit, that Jahim spirit. Put that woman first. The woman don't want you to put her first, man. She'll never tell you that, because she's a demon. You know what I'm saying? See, this is why we have to be men. A man is not constituted by how much ass he can get, how much ass he can, or from a woman, or how much ass he can whoop. Okay, I mean, in terms of how many wars he can win or triumph in. A man is a man. Okay, within the example of Yahushua, mortifying one's members for the sake of the glory of the Lord. Okay. In the righteous legacy of this gospel, and not blaming the ministry. So case in point, what happened in Shining Sharp happened to one of us, that would be horrible, man. Because that would be another example of the ministry being blamed. We're putting a negative stain on the ministry. Case in point. But this is Sirach 18:31. It says, if thou givest thy soul the desires that please her, she will make thee a laughing stock to thine enemies that malign thee. I'm going to grab this quick precept. Romans 6:12. Romans chapter 6 and verse 12. And it reads, let not sin therefore reign in your mortal body, that ye should obey it in the lust thereof. All right, because lusting after things that are not profitable for our salvation can lead to sin, like women. Okay, in case in point, you can lust after a woman that can have a husband. You see? That's why every time I deal with a woman, one of the first things I ask her, and I don't give a shit how it come out, do you have a man? I might say it in a way to not make it awkward for her, you know what I'm saying, and such, but I will inquire, because I care more about my salvation than my lust. Like this guy Phil, I'm gonna play a video in a second. This guy here on this, you see the channel. Okay, I'm not too fond of his content because it's pro so-called African, because he still thinks he's a Hamite. But I do like his content. Other than that, but like he said in his video, man, don't let 8 seconds of pleasure ruin you, in so many words. Hey, because they call that, a modern day way of calling that is referring to that as post-nut clarity. It was good in the moment, but then afterwards, like, oh shit. And a woman might even ask you, now what? I've heard that before. After dealing with a woman in that manner, doing our thing, and then she asked me right after that, so now what? It's a good question. Are you gonna be a wife? Are you gonna be in order? Are you gonna be subjective? I mean, this guy just put up I ain't gonna. A lot of these red pill content creators are, doing, videos on these women to further expose the true nature of these women. But really, they don't have the breath. We have the breath. So we're filtering everything that the talking points they get, they got it from us. from the elder apostles on down, and we just filter this information through the scriptures, man. Hey, once again, a woman has always been a downfall, the kryptonite to a man. In the case of Samson, the Danite, King David, King Solomon, and the list goes on and on. But a lot of men are not gonna learn from those past mistakes of men falling by the snare of a woman, because they don't care to. They don't care to hear their or incline their ears to true wisdom, knowledge, understanding. Our true shield and buckler, the word. All right. So I'm gonna play this. I'm gonna play this clip real quick. All right.
Why doesn't everyone get a 6 or 7 figure payout after a car accident? The number one reason isn't because of how
fair use.
Let's go back a little bit. This one video of Monique. Monique was telling Shannon something, and all you older gentlemen, 40 plus or so, even if you in your late 30s, I'm talking to you tonight. Come on in here. Come on in. And even if you passport broing it up, you do the same thing in them other countries too. So don't think just the United States you're doing it. A lot of you doing a whole lot more in Philippines, and Thailand, and Colombia, and Brazil, all these places some of y'all traveling. Y'all pull the same thing too. Okay? So let's go ahead and play what Monique said to Shannon Sharp, because she said a lot to him, and he didn't heed that warning. Let's play this.
Come on. They talk to us. This dating thing. Because it's more different now. When you and I,
it's different, baby. I'm grateful I'm not 56 and trying.
What you trying to say?
I'm looking right at you. You better take your ass and get somebody to love you. Now I'm looking right at you.
Well, so she was coming from a place of wisdom. Now she's another Eve, mainly an Eve in Esau's Hollywood industry. So she definitely learned how wicked Esau is. She had to learn that the hard way. She got her own nigga wake up call. But that alone, she's coming from a sincere place of wisdom in terms of true female nature. Cause who better to tell you how wicked women are other than women? A lot of these women will tell you, these older women tell you, hey man, bitches ain't shit. I've heard this from my own mother. She didn't say it like that, but this what she essentially said it that way. You see? So she's telling a 50-year-old Eve is telling this nigga, this old Sambo shucking and jiving, buck dancing, Freemasonic boule nigga, hey man, sit your old ass down. Okay, now by biblical standards, she's not old, but in this society, that would be deemed as old, 56. But anyway, so she's telling them, you know what I'm saying? She's giving them the game pretty much from a female perspective. Because, she understood that, he was into chasing, dabbling after these young harlots, man. Going after harlots, clearly knowing they're harlots, and clearly understand and knowing that they're not wives, they're not wives. So she's telling them, nah, get you some substance, man. You're getting old. How did he respond? Let me live my life. See, Jake want to be niggas, man. They don't want to be kings. They want to be peasants. And that's another prime example on how our transition of going from kings to peasants, like it says in Deuteronomy 28 and 43. How the stranger would get above us very high, the heathen, specifically the lowest of all heathen, the Edomites, and we would come down very low. Speaking of The Wire, I quoted earlier, there's a scene from Detective Bunk in that show The Wire, where he's talking to Omar. He said, it makes me sick, motherfucker, how far we done fell. This is how far we've fallen, man. A 56-year-old man bucked up against the advice of an older Eve that told him, that suggested that he should get a wife instead of dealing with these harlots. And how did he respond? Let me live my life.
baby, need him a whole fat gal. Who can bake good cakes, make some smothered turkey wings, who gonna rub his feet at the nighttime, okay, and gonna have a sip of his cognac to make him feel better about himself when he come home at night. That's what Shannon needs. You don't need no 26-year-old girl. You don't need no 36-year-old girl. This is your auntie talking to you. Take your old and get you old out there that can love you old. You trying to hang out with these young men. You can't do it, Sandy. You just can't do it. I want you to go for a fourth round. You're not gonna have.
So she's putting him on blast, but she's putting him on blast on his own show in front of millions of viewers and followers. But she's not doing it out of spite. She's doing it out of sincerity. He didn't take it that way. He take it as if she was infringing on his so-called liberty. You see that? That's another enchantment that Esau has bestowed upon our people. Liberty and justice for all. The liberty to be a demon. Liberty meaning freedom. Further confirming that our people have inherited the mindset of this brute beast, Esau Edom.
Like, listen, I need you want some money to go to stuff. But if you get your older girl, when you get to that forefront, she's gonna say, hold on. Let me go get you some eggs and cheese and some toasted apple butter, because that's gonna get your energy back up. I'm talking right to you. So he thought I was gonna be scared. And I know old gal, she be good to you. Her name is Elladora. Now, when you know somebody named Elladora, now Miss Elladora told me to tell you. She said, I think you like red velvet.
And by the way, what makes what she's saying more credible is that Monique is a very masculine. She's a typical N-dub, typical Eve of the Southern Kingdom, so-called Negro, or a part of Negro tribes, right? And she's epitome of the traits of a modern day typical Eve of the Southern Kingdom, hyper masculine, you know what I'm saying, and so forth, right? But she married a masculine man because she understood that she of all people understood that she needed a man. So that further confirms that women know that psychologically or subconsciously, quote unquote, that men are better than them. But if the man don't act like that, that's what fucks it up. So it's not the woman, it's the man. You got to be a fucking man. So. And they'll never explicitly or directly tell a man that, especially a man that they're dealing with. If he's being a damn beta male simp, she'll allow him to remain in that degenerate mindset, so she could take advantage of them. Because women, that further confirms that women are the weaker vessel, where they have a childlike mentality where they want their cake and they want to eat it too. But if you put them in their place, they're more liable to succumb to your charms and be under your subjection. And it's more expedient and profitable for both parties if that man is looking for righteous subjection, and not to be overbearing, you know what I'm saying, like a damn tyrant. The scriptures speak about that. Be not a lion in your own house, roughly paraphrasing. Don't be Ike Turner. Don't be like Ike Turner, but just keep the household in order. A lot of these men don't have that. These men don't have that mindset. Why? Because they do not incline to the true foundation of all living through the scriptures. So what she's telling him is, I'm going to continue. But I just wanted to mention that real quick. She married a man that's masculine. The reason I bring it up is because he's more masculine than her. That further confirms that a man's true essence is in his masculinity, his testicular fortitude. Okay, because a man was created to be the guardian. Okay, he's created to be a guardian, a warrior, a leader. Women were not created to lead. So all the examples that she mentioned in terms of getting women to cook for you, this beast on the screen look like that she would cook for anybody? She'd be willing to cook for anyone? Of course not. I digress.
I say, Miss Elladora, if you do like that, she said, you let her know I got something for her. Yeah, she don't have no teeth. Come on, pick that glass up and clap. Come on now. These young gals will bite you.
Arizona homeowners, I just bought this house right here in Phoenix in 7 days. If you want.
Now Monique had warned Shannon about these young females.
Listen to the young men. The young men can't stand them.
Listen, it's so bad these days,
and I don't know get this kind of conversation on AD&C, but it's important.
You have studs that are saying, you know what?
Yeah, I can't deal with these women. I'm going back to men. These studs are out here saying they entitled. They just transactional. And they can't stand them. And they rather go back with men. These studs are saying this on TikTok.
I'll leave that at that. He's going to something else. I mean, but nonetheless, taking the bones out the meat, specifically what, you know, through the dialogue in that interview, the interaction between Monique and Shannon, you know what I'm saying? It just further ties into the lesson, man. You see? And Shannon should know better because he's an old school Georgia native. You know, down south, Alabama, Georgia, Louisiana, a lot of them women, especially older Eves will tell their young boys, man, that, hey, women ain't shit. And he has no excuse, even though I think he said he grew up with his grandmother. Well, our women are under the curses as well, and part of being under the curses is having our minds smit with madness. You know, including being given over to idolatry and idolatrous principles like Semiramis, Queen of Heaven. So a lot of our women are going to be, feminists. They've inherited that feminist mindset through that CIA feminist program that Esau set up, to target the minds of our women, understanding that we in a vulnerable position. So having always been said, we have everything against us, and that's why we need to rely on our power, man. It's gotten so bad out here that it's not even. It's gotten so bad out here that, just speaking for myself, I contemplate even giving a woman my real name, bringing it to my quote unquote humble abode, my place of dwelling where I lay my head at, man. That's how fucked up it is out here. This is another example that we need Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai. We need Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai to deliver us from this place, man. Because this place is America, Babylon the Great. The main place for our captivity is the epitome of a snare, a trap. And a woman is an extension of that. The brother put up in Ecclesiastes 7:26. Okay, I'm going to continue. Speaking of that, let me bring this out real quick. Sirach 26. Sirach 25 and 24, and it says, "Of the woman came the beginning of sin, and through her we all die." Look at referencing Eve. It speaks about that in 1 Timothy. How it wasn't Adam that sinned; it was Eve that sinned. That led him astray from Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, pursuant to the account of Genesis, the 3rd chapter. And this is why to this day the woman is the joint heir to the self-proclaimed white man Esau, Edom's rulership. This is why she has so much pull, okay, in this modern day world that we live in. And that harlot that is suing Shannon Sharp for $50 million understands that full and well, especially that Edomite attorney that she has in her ear. That's another prime example of the spirit of the serpent dwelling in Esau, Edom, and the woman working hand in hand to destroy Jake, specifically Jake Men. Sirach 25 and 25 says, "Give the water no passage, neither a wicked woman liberty to gad abroad." You can't give a woman liberty, man. She's a child. Okay. You have to look over her. That's another reason why Apostle Paul said, what did he say? If you 1 Corinthians 7 chapter, I'm not going to get it for the sake of time, but he said, if you get a wife, you're gonna deal with trouble in the flesh. Imagine that's just with one wife. Imagine multiple wives. You see? You gotta deal with that, man. Her mood swings, especially within that time of the month. Okay, you gotta deal with all of that. But the only way to deal with that is be a man. So how profitable is it to have multiple women, let alone one woman? That's why, hey man, some brothers don't need no woman. And if a brother in his faith has one or more women, it's because the Lord Yahweh Shem Shai knows that brother can handle one or more women. Okay? Case in point. The Lord Yahweh Shem Shai will never give us more than what we can handle. All right, it says in the book of Corinthians. It's all part of proper balance. Okay? But when you do have a woman, you don't lay the law down early by establishing that, these righteous principles, right in the beginning of your dealings with her, she can turn into a beast, an untamable beast. Sirach 25 and 26. If she go not as thou wouldest have her, cut her off from thy flesh and give her a bill of divorce and let her go. So if she brings shame on your name in any way, through sin, all right, specifically adultery, technically she's supposed to be put to death, but in this modern age we can't do that, because it's not, like Apostle Paul said, not every law is expedient, is unprofitable. Because we can't put a sodomite to death, which we're commanded to do. We gotta wait till Yahweh Shai come back. So if a woman's being unruly and wicked in any way that can tarnish your legacy through your name, specifically through adultery, then you give her a bill of divorcement. Okay, you stop dealing with her in this case. This is just another just another example that just how perverse the world has become, and women have contributed to that perverseness. Esau understands that. Esau is an agent of chaos. That's why he gave women women's liberation through the women's suffrage period. This is you want to read this again? Ecclesiastes 7:26. It says, "And I find more bitter than death the woman, whose heart is snares and nets, and her hands as bands, whoso pleases the Most High God Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, shall escape from her, but the sinner shall be taken by her." See? And that's exactly what happened to this guy. All right? Good old Shay Shay. Okay? So, I'm going to grab this precept. Sirach 9 and 6. It says, "Give not thy soul unto harlots. Give not thy soul unto harlots, that thou lose not thine inheritance." See? And that's exactly what he did. He took her seriously. You don't take no harlot seriously, man. And he did that. And if that's his voice in that audio, he was a damn fool. He's a fool regardless. By bowing down before Esau, seeking Esau's validation. But he's more of a fool if he actually had that conversation with that young harlot for hire, despite the surveillance age we live in, where these are part of Esau's satanic devices that works in the favor of women. Women understand social media better than we do for the most part. That's why they have, a lot of them have the OnlyFans accounts and all that, being harlots for hire, online harlots for hire. Because they understand the power of sex. That has reduced men to pieces of bread, as is mentioned in Proverbs 6 and 26. That's why a lot of men simp for these harlots through lust. Okay, going back to the precept this lesson was prefaced off of in 2 Timothy 2 and 22. Fleeing youthful lust. All right, and in terms of lusting for harlots in this instance, man, in this example, lusting after harlots is an unprofitable thing because it could lead to death. Because the hearts and bands of these women, the hearts of these women are full of snares of death. All right. And speaking of that, I remember there was back on during the back page days before Esau's alphabet alphabet agencies got a hold of it. There's one guy linked up with a a harlot on there. So when he went to go meet her, she lined him up to get robbed. This is a prime example, man. That doesn't mean be paranoid with these with these females. Just understand who you're dealing with, man. You deal with them from a distance. Like DMX said some years ago in that song with Cisco, what was it called? What These Bitches Want or some shit like that. Said, I fuck with these hoes from a distance. That's what he said. That's how you do it. You know, we're not moles. We love women. Women are beautiful creatures by default. By default, meaning they have been far removed from their natural, their true nature. That's why they're collectively beasts. But if you want to deal with her, you know, especially a beautiful woman, deal with her, you know, accordingly. And just by acknowledging what the situation is. You see? Because if you don't, just taking it for what it is. It's just really just, well, like, once again, it's for recreational purposes, man. Majority of these women are rental vehicles. You know, you just enjoy it for a while you can, and then you got to turn it back in. You don't emotionally invest in these harlots, man. That's what he did. You see, and then she'll use that against you, man. So, oh, this nigga's weak. Okay. Oh, 10 million? Nah, nigga, I can get you for more than that. That's exactly what happened to him. He lost his inheritance. Even though if he doesn't lose everything, he still lost everything. Because his name he's already been fired 2 times previously for this, essentially. The first time on CBS, then on Fox, along with other reasons from Fox, and then now on ESPN, owned by Disney. Sirach 96 again, give not thy soul unto harlots, that thou lose not thine inheritance. This is a prime example of that right here, man. So, I'll end it off on that note. Pray this lesson is for the edifying, exhorting to elect, and give all praise, glory, infinite honor to my power, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, whom is the God of the living, Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Baruch Wadash. And I don't write this out as lesson for the edifying, exhorting to elect. And with that, a Baba Ball, soon and very soon. Shalom, Labachayim, Shah, Bayashid Abadah. Shah Yasharala, meaning peace to the elect, to the house of David of the nation of Israel. All right, the water for the precepts. All right, buddy, y'all stop. And on to the next one. All right, let me get a couple of these. Salakia. Brother put up. Yep, yeah, that's what I was thinking about. The water. Brother put up Sirach 4:30. Be not as a lion in thy house, nor frantic among thy servants. You also put up Proverbs 31:3. I was meditating on that earlier. This is an account where King Lemuel's mother, was giving them, was coming in spirit of Monique with her interaction with Shannon, but not going after these women, especially young women. This is Proverbs 31:3. Give not thy strength unto women, nor thy ways to that which destroyeth kings. And that's a perfect precept to end it off on. All right. Shalom.